The man who erased his name is not going to break new ground for the Like a Dragon series, but it is a necessary entry due to how it provides more information on Kiryu's whereabouts after Yakuza 6 and his activities during Like a Dragon. Kiryu now works for the Daidoji faction as a secret agent under his new alias Juryu. In 2019, he's tasked by the organization to provide security for a smuggling operation in Yokohama. The operation gets attacked. His handler Hanawa almost gets kidnapped, but he's saved by Kiryu. During the attack though, one of the Yakuza recognizes Kiryu, and this kicks off the events of the man who erased his name. Now, just like all entries in the series, there's a lot to unravel here, and I'm not going to spoil anything in this video. But just know that all the series staples are here. There are betrayals, brutal beatdowns, a number of fake-out deaths, cinematic battles with inhuman feats, my favorite, and callbacks to previous characters in the series. If you happen to be a fan of the franchise, you will definitely enjoy this game. I highly recommend you pick it up. If you're new to the franchise, why are you even watching this? You need to catch up and play the Kiwami entries first, and then move your way up. It's gonna take a bit, but you'll get here eventually. While it's great to play as Kiryu again, I don't know if it was necessary to have an entire spin-off game. Outside of filling information gaps created by Like a Dragon, there's really nothing of value added. That's not to say it's not fun. The game is solid when you're sticking to the story, but it does lack in other places. I don't feel like the side quests are as entertaining as they were in previous titles. They just kind of lack that charm and that weirdness. And being limited to only 2 fighting styles, Agent and Yakuza, can get repetitive really quickly. And here's the thing, the Agent fighting style is fun. Being able to grab enemies or objects with your spider wire is really cool, and it can be hilarious launching enemies into other enemies, or enemies into the wall, or being able to throw those objects at enemies. I really like the versatility here because you can also use the spider wire to extend combos, so it's a pretty good playstyle. But I really feel like it opens up when you unlock the other items, and that does take quite a bit. You're about, I want to say 2/3 into the story before you get the final ability. And this playstyle was really meant to clear large groups of enemies pretty quickly, and it can be really chaotic when you're doing so. You'll get surrounded a lot, as you do in most Yakuza games. You get surrounded a lot here. The difference is when you're in the Agent playstyle, the moment you have your different abilities, you can chain them together. The only downside is that the damage can feel really lacking at times. But if you're looking for a more traditional fighting style with a high damage output and practically nothing else, then you're more than likely going to opt into Yakuza. I found myself using this style a lot when I got near the end because you're going to be able to clear enemies relatively quickly, especially because you should be fairly upgraded when you enter into the final stages. You're going to be fighting a lot of elites, a lot of bosses, and while Agent is nice about clearing groups of enemies, you can absolutely manipulate some of the moveset of Yakuza by just kind of turning around doing these large back swings and large kicks, and it will clear a group of enemies in front of you, so just keep that in mind. Also, when you activate Heat with the Yakuza style, you're going to throw a nice flurry of punches as a combo ender, and you do so many that it does insane damage to elite enemies and bosses. So if they're not blocking an attack, they're just watching their bar melt away. Listen, I'm not a fan though that there's only 2 styles. I really wish there was more versatility in terms of the combat, but I understand because Like a Dragon Gaiden is a relatively short game. And when I say short, I mean short in comparison to the rest of the Yakuza games. You're more than likely going to complete this game with minimal side quests in about 8 to 10 hours. My first run lasted me about 13, but that was because I was constantly looking for hidden items. The addition of the spider wire allows you to grab hidden items from far away, and for some reason, my brain was immediately addicted to this. I would spend all of the downtime during the story just running around and looking for hidden items. You really have to pay attention to all the things above you now and things that are far away, because you're able to grab them with the spider wire, and you're rewarded, honestly, if you actually look for some of these hidden items. I really treated it as its own mini game. And speaking of mini games, all the hits are here. Cabaret Club, golfing, karaoke, darts, pool, racing, you name it, it's more than likely here. And you're going to notice that there are going to be some of these mini games that are going to be involved with the main story, which I really thought was kind of cool, because I don't remember a Yakuza game requiring you to do that, but I really enjoyed the fact that they implemented them during the main campaign. The Cabaret Club has a unique twist this time because it adds live action elements, and I think that's all I'm going to say about that. It's really kind of weird. I wasn't expecting it, because when you go into this area, and this is part of the main quest, you're going to see just two characters, but it's, you know, two actresses who just happen to be a part of the Cabaret Club now, and you just kind of play out these scenes as you would if you were playing the older titles, which, like I said, it was kind of weird to me, but there's going to be people out there who enjoy it, so shout out to those people. When it comes to locations, Like a Dragon Gaiden only has two places. There's Sotenbori, which is going to act as the primary location for the bulk of the story. It's relatively small, but I found that it complemented the size of the game. Right, it's a short game, so it should have a small area. The other location is the castle, and this is unlocked fairly early, and it's where you'll find the Coliseum. You can participate in one-on-one fights or team battles. You can also find different gambling venues. I really enjoy the look of this area. I also like the team battles in the Coliseum. This is really fun because you're able to recruit a number of characters, and some of those are important characters that have joined Kiryu on his past adventures. I recommend you go to the Coliseum often. You're rewarded pretty well in terms of money and also gear, so it's always fun going back and forth between the Coliseum and Sotenbori. I really found myself enamored with how much money you can earn, because it's a lot. It was shocking. The team battles you get to go through will net you a ton of money, and you can also switch the captains of the team battle. So if you don't want Kiryu to be the captain all the time, you don't have to, but it's recommended that you have a balanced squad when you're going through these different team battles, because they can be pretty hectic. Luckily though, the characters you can recruit that happen to be old friends of yours are overpowered as hell. Just pointing that out. You can switch between these two locations pretty easily with the help of Akame, a fixer who plays a pivotal role in the narrative and is the founder of the Okami Network, and that's what you're going to be utilizing to complete these requests. Once you unlock the network, you're going to notice that these icons are everywhere. Seriously, when you walk out into Sotenbori after you open up the Okami Network, open up your map. You will see an icon every few feet. And these are always going to range from simple fetch quests, defending helpless civilians, and other menial tasks. Whatever you do in this game, once the Okami Network is unlocked, pretty much goes to leveling the Okami Network. That's all you need to know. I recommend leveling up this network as much as possible because it is integrated into the story, and some of the requests you get directly from the network, they pay really well early on. So if you're struggling for cash, just do some requests from the Okami Network and you're going to be just fine. You have to keep in mind that you're not only earning money, but you're earning Aame Points. These points are not only for the Akame shop, which will grant you new gear, but they're also required to level up Kiryu. So you're going to be given an option to invest into the network. You're going to want to invest as often as possible because it helps you gain new unlocks for the store, and also unlocks discounts because some of those skills, let me tell you, they're super expensive. You're going to get to a point where a skill unlock is like 1,000,000 yen plus like 5,000 Akame points, which can be really ridiculous sounding, but once again, if you continuously do the requests, you'll get rewarded with more points and more money. Now, like previous titles, there are some interesting side stories to find throughout Like a Dragon Gaiden. The big difference is that you won't randomly run into them when you just roam around the world. You have to utilize the Okami Network. And this is understandable given the size of Sotenbori and the castle, but if we're being honest, it's kind of a letdown because it removes the organic feeling of just coming across a stranger with an odd request. And with that being said, I really feel like that's the biggest problem I have with this game. Because while Sotenbori and the castle have interesting visual styles, it really lacks the overall randomness and weirdness from previous titles. I really enjoyed exploring the other locations because you would just run into these random encounters that would just wow you or weird you out, however you felt about it. But it was one of those things that made those locations feel more lived in. And I know that this is a spin-off and they were really going for a more streamlined experience, but I don't think you have to strip that uniqueness that's found in almost every entry in the franchise. I found it to be a peculiar design choice here because you're basically making the same title, but you're adding these different encounters that really breathe life into the game. That doesn't mean that those encounters don't exist, but it doesn't feel organic in this game. It really feels like you have to select a request and then you get to live through that weird experience. But I really miss the fact that I would just roam across an area, see like some dude hanging from a light pole and like helping him through this odd ass request. I really miss that. Regardless, I still found Like a Dragon Gaiden to be charming, but it's familiar territory. The game, to me, is only necessary because of Kiryu. It does a great job of detailing his struggles with shedding his name and moving on from his past. Kiryu is obviously a man of principle who has a lot of weight on his shoulders, and it's really fascinating to see how he handles that while also being a secret agent for Daidoji. He's clearly a selfless individual, and when you get to the end, you really wonder if it's all worth it knowing the emotional toll it takes on him. Seriously, in this game, he gets pretty beat up. Not just physically, but emotionally. You can see him get shaken a couple times, and it really kind of bugs you about how you're just watching this man suffer. I feel like Kiryu is easily the best part of this spin-off, and I'm glad that they filled in the gaps from Yakuza 6 and Like a Dragon. They do a really good job of telling you why he just randomly showed up all of a sudden. It was actually pretty cool when I saw it. So after the credits roll, you're going to have access to the demo version of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I'm pretty sure you can access it beforehand, but honestly, complete the game first and then go into the demo. They connect pretty well. There's a 20 to 30 minute story demo, and then there's an exploration mode. You're going to get a taste of what's coming with Infinite Wealth and Kiryu's new hairstyle. And listen, for some reason, I can't explain it, his new hairstyle just kind of fits him. They've also added a movement circle for the combat, and they've made team up abilities and ultimates their own icons, which is something I really appreciate. For Kiryu, once he reaches maximum heat, you can activate a limited time brawler mode, which allows you to do direct damage like the older titles. I think this is a very cool inclusion, and it really fits his character perfectly. It's also kind of jarring because once you activate it, you just start beating on people, and you're just kind of button mashing until they fall or until the actual period ends. I really enjoyed it. The demo for Infinite Wealth is hilarious, and it's just because of the way it introduces the different enemy types. They're all so dumb and out of place, and I love it. Ichigo is still a goofball, and if you don't want to explore and you don't want to do anything manually, you can speak to Chitose. She's a new member who's going to act as your guide. She immediately pushes you toward new minigames, which I thought was really cool. My favorite from the demo was Crazy Delivery. It's essentially Crazy Taxi, but as a delivery game. And so you have a set timer, you have items that you have to gather and then deliver, and then you also have these crazy jumps that you have to do, and they're super fun. I just really enjoyed the aesthetic of it. It just was so out of place, but also just so great at the same time. I really feel like Infinite Wealth really embraces the weird of the Like a Dragon series, and I am super excited for this game. And alongside Crazy Delivery, there's another new minigame, and it's called Sicko Snap. And it's essentially Pokemon Snap, but instead of Pokemon, you're finding a bunch of weirdos doing poses in random places while riding a trolley. I'm not gonna lie to anyone, I was pretty disturbed for the most part, but I was also laughing my ass off while playing this minigame. Because as you know, when you're playing through the Yakuza series or Like a Dragon series, when you're playing through these minigames and you're talking to these individuals, it comes off so self-serious, and they do that here. It comes off as super serious that you're taking pictures of men who are just doing the most weird extra poses I'd ever seen. Like dudes just jumping out of bushes in front of dogs, hanging from like light posts. It was so weird. And I don't know what the developers were thinking, but this is the type of weird that was missing from Like a Dragon Gaiden, and I'm so glad it's here. Now look, if Crazy Delivery and Sicko Snap aren't up your alley, there's other mini games. You can also just randomly explore Honolulu in that small section, but you can also just go around and do a little bit of karaoke. And for the short section in the demo, I enjoyed it because I enjoyed karaoke in all of these games. Now make sure you select a song with Chitose in the lead because you get a really good sequence with her. She has a lovely voice. You just have to get over the fact that Ichigo just sounds so off when he's a part of the background vocals. Completely fine with it though, because I really enjoyed what they were showing. Just pointing it out, you're going to know it when you see it. I was honestly surprised about how much time you can spend in the demo exploring Honolulu. It's just a great incentive for when the full title releases in 2024. I also think it's pretty cool that both Ichigo and Kiryu are playable, and from what I gather in the story demo, it just looks to be another crazy adventure set in the Like a Dragon universe. It looks like it's going to be another really big hit or surprise hit, however you feel about it, but I really feel like it's going to be another great entry. And that is going to do it for this video. So if you like the content, please consider like, sharing, and subscribing. It really helps the channel out. If you happen to play Like a Dragon Gaiden, let me know your thoughts about it. If you happen to also play the demo for Infinite Wealth, let me know your thoughts about that as well. I am Ken for Pixelated Thoughts, and I'll talk to you next time.